The Galactic Council's chambers were silent, a rare occurrence in a place usually filled with the hum of 1,000 species debating, negotiating, and arguing. Today, however, the silence was heavy, laden with the weight of a decision that had already been made. The holographic projection in the center of the room displayed a planet, its surface cracked and bleeding molten lava, its atmosphere thick with ash and toxic gases. This was Krylos, homeworld of the Krylosians, a once proud civilization now on the brink of extinction. The verdict is final, declared High Arbiter Velnor, a towering figure with shimmering, iridescent scales. The Krylosian homeworld is beyond salvation. The tectonic instability, coupled with the atmospheric collapse, makes any rescue or relocation effort impossible. The Krylosians are a lost cause. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The representatives of the Galactic Council, each a delegate from a species that had long since mastered interstellar travel and cosmic diplomacy, nodded solemnly. The Krylosians had been allies, trading partners, and even friends to many of them. But now they were a liability. The cost of saving them was too high, the risks too great. "We cannot waste resources on a doomed race," said Zanara, the insectoid delegate from the Xyloth Collective. Her voice was cold, logical, and devoid of emotion. The Krylosians had their time. Now the universe moves on. One by one, the delegates cast their votes, their holographic sigils, lighting up in agreement. The decision was unanimous. The Krylosians would be left to their fate. But in the far corner of the chamber, a single figure remained silent. Captain Elena Marquez, the human representative, clenched her fists under the table. Her dark eyes burned with defiance as she watched the proceedings. Humanity had only recently joined the Galactic Council, their technology still primitive by galactic standards. But they had brought something to the table that many of the older species had long since forgotten: compassion. The Krylosians had been the first to welcome humanity into the galactic community. When Earth's first starship, the Odyssey, had limped into Krylosian space with a failing engine and a crew on the brink of starvation, the Krylosians had not hesitated to help. They had shared their technology, their resources, and their knowledge. They had shown humanity that they were not alone in the universe. And now, as the Galactic Council turned its back on the Krylosians, Elena could not sit idly by. "Humanity dissents," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. Velnor's gaze was icy. "Captain Marquez, your sentiment is noted. But the decision has been made. The Krylosians are beyond help." "With all due respect, High Arbiter," Elena said, standing, "humanity does not abandon its friends." The chamber erupted into murmurs. Some delegates scoffed, others shook their heads in disbelief. The Xyloth delegate, Zainara, let out a derisive click. "Your sentimentality is admirable, Captain, but it is also foolish. The Krylosians are doomed. Why waste resources on a lost cause?" Elena met Zainara's gaze, without flinching. "Because it's the right thing to do." The journey to Krylos was perilous. The planet's atmosphere was choked with ash, and its surface was a hellscape of erupting volcanoes and rivers of lava. The human fleet, a ragtag assortment of ships, barely capable of interstellar travel, approached the dying world with caution. Aboard the Odyssey, Elena stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the planet below. "Are we sure about this, Captain?" asked Lieutenant James Carter, her second in command. The Council wasn't wrong. This planet is a death trap. "We're sure," Elena said firmly. "The Krylosians saved us when we needed it most. We're not leaving them behind." The first landing party touched down in what was once Krylos's capital city. The buildings were crumbling, the streets filled with ash and debris. The Krylosians, tall, amphibious beings with shimmering blue skin and large expressive eyes, were huddled in makeshift shelters, their once vibrant culture reduced to a struggle for survival. When the humans emerged from their ships, the Krillosians stared in disbelief. One of them, an elder with deep scars running across his face, approached Elena. His voice was hoarse, barely audible over the rumble of the ground beneath them. "Why have you come?" he asked. "The others. They abandoned us." Elena knelt, placing a hand on the elder's shoulder. "We're not the others. We're humanity. And we don't leave our friends behind." The evacuation was a race against time. The human ships, though primitive, were sturdy and reliable. They ferried the Krillosians off the dying planet, load after load, as the ground shook and the skies burned. It was not without cost. One of the ships, the Endeavor, was caught in a volcanic eruption and lost with all hands. But still, the humans pressed on. As the last ship prepared to leave, Elena stood on the surface of Krylos one final time. The elder Krillosian, now aboard the Odyssey, II had given her a small crystal, a symbol of gratitude from his people. She held it tightly as she boarded the ship, the ground cracking beneath her feet. When the human fleet returned to Galactic Council space, the reaction was mixed. Some species hailed humanity as heroes, while others dismissed their actions as reckless and foolish. But the Krillosians, now safe on a new world provided by humanity, had a different perspective. At the next Galactic Council meeting, the Krillosian elder stood before the delegates, his voice strong and clear. "When our world was dying, you turned your backs on us. You called us a lost cause. But humanity did not. They risked everything to save us. They showed us that even in the darkest of times, there is hope." He turned to Elena, his eyes filled with gratitude. Humanity may be young, and their technology may be primitive, but they have something that many of you have forgotten: the courage to care, even when it is hard. The courage to do what is right, even when it is not easy. The chamber was silent once more, but this time the silence was different. It was not the silence of indifference, but of reflection. And as Elena stood tall, her head held high, she knew that humanity had proven something to the galaxy that day. They had proven that even in the face of despair, even when all others had given up, humanity would remain.